Welcome to the Transform My Dance Studio podcast, the only podcast dedicated to helping you grow your dance studio while reclaiming your life. It's Clint Salzer here, the CEO and founder of the Dance Studio Owners Association. And for the next 8 weeks, we're bringing you a very special series of podcast episodes with dance studio owners Jane Grech and Melanie Gard, who are also part of our Inner Circle program. Over these next 8 episodes, Jane and Mel will be sharing their own challenges, successes, experiences, and advice as dance studio owners. Welcome to this very special podcast event at the Barre with Jane and Mel. I hope you enjoy it.
Hello, and welcome back to the Barre. We're here for another session with Miss Mel and Miss Jane. Hello to you, Miss Mel.
Hi, Jane. How are you today?
Very well, thank you for asking. And how are you?
I'm good. I had a bit of a heavy week last week with exams and whatnot, so I'm feeling a little bit lighter and fresher than I was this time last week, which is good.
Exams really take it out of you, don't they?
Yeah, they are exhausting.
They are. I think maybe we could do a session on this, Mel, but we're both empaths, so we both are feelers and we absorb the energy around us. And I think, that anxiety, even I know your studio would be warm and loving and supportive, as mine is in the lead up to exams, but the kids care about them. So there is a level of anxiety in the air, and I feel like I'm a sponge and I absorb that anxiety. And so at the end of the day, I'm just like, get me out of here.
Yeah, totally. And I think there's a little bit of that old school ballet teacher in me. Like, I feel so, I have to be so formal, and I really do care what the examiners think about my studio and all those sorts of things. So that, for me, drains a lot of my energy.
Yeah, I hear you. So I'm just writing that down. Let's do a session on surviving exam week at some point. And
surviving being an empath? Yeah.
Oh, look. I can't help you there. And
working on that.
Today we're talking about living intentionally and the power of having intention, something that both you and I are pretty full on about. Like, we both live this. So let's just jump into that. What it means to you, Mel, and maybe how living intentionally has impacted your business or your personal life.
Yes. Well, I've spoken before about a mentor, my first boss when I left university. She had a huge influence on my career and work. And when I first met her, so she would have been in her mid-30s, and at the front of her diary she had 3 goals written down. One was that by the time when she was 40, she wanted to work part-time. She wanted to buy a beach house. And there was something else, I can't remember what it was. But I was like, oh, that's so funny. Why would you have goals for 5 years away, my little 20-year-old brain? And she achieved all of those things by the time she was 40. And I learned so much from her about being intentional. That, when you write something down or you make an active decision to work towards something, that there are so many things you will do along the way to make that come true. Yeah. That was a big lesson for me. I really took a lot from that. What about you, Jane?
Yeah, I love that story, because it just made me think about when I finished year 12. I had most of my friends were a little bit older than me at that time. Like, I had my school friends, but my really close friends were already in uni. And so I had a dinner with my best friend at the time and her brother. So they were both at uni when I finished year 12, and they were like, so what now? And I launched into like a bit of a presentation without knowing it They were both sitting there kind of, not still sure what they'd like to achieve by 30. And here I am, I'm 2 days out of finishing year 12, and I was like, okay, well, by the time I'm 30, I would have liked to have bought my own home and started my own dance school, and hopefully, because this is one thing that you can't really impact, hopefully fallen in love, got married and have a child. So they were kind of my big, hairy, audacious goals. And so I'll never forget that dinner, because they were both such good friends of mine that we were quite honest, and they were laughing at me basically. They were like, of course, only you, Jane, would come out of your goals. Anyway, so I got to 30 and I did all of those things, and that was great. But also there's a flip side of reaching your goals, because when I turned 30, I was kind of a little bit like, I hadn't thought past that. And so I was like, okay, well, I've got my studio and I've purchased a home with my husband and I got a baby, and tick, tick, tick. And I actually, instead of feeling wonderful, I felt a little bit flat just for, a couple of months, And then, of course, I reinvented a whole new pathway to strive for. So you mentioned something about writing things down. I also found I love little A5 notebooks. I've had them since I finished school. When I'm reading books, I write little passages from them down in the notebooks and my thoughts, and some of them are so funny. But I found some notebooks the other day and I just flipped through them, and there was stuff in there that I had written that I had achieved, but I really didn't realise I was setting out to achieve. Like I'd forgotten I'd written those things down. Yeah. But I think the power of writing them down, I was like, I'd put pen to paper, and I think that does make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And even that, vision boards are all the rage, aren't they? But there is something really powerful about that in terms of creating a picture, or whether that's in pictures or words. Sorry. There's something really powerful about that reminder daily or, sort of regularly, that keeps you focused.
And if you're visual, then a vision board, like if you're a visual learner or you're that way inclined, and I am, a vision board is so powerful. I've not ever kind of got my magazines and scissors and glue out. But I tell you what, I love me a Pinterest board, Miss Mel. Same. Yeah, to me that's basically an electronic vision board, whether I'm visioning a new program in my studio and collecting ideas and even just pictures and shapes and colours. And, if you're wanting to redecorate your studio, a vision board there. For me, you mentioned your friend, your colleague who wanted to have a beach house. That was a big dream of mine as an extension of creating a space for my family, and one that I've made come to reality this year. And my vision board for my beach house has actually really driven me, because it's so inspiring. Like all of those pictures on that board take me to that place in my head, and I'm like, I am going to make this happen.
Yes.
And I curate it, when I'm at the doctor's surgery or whatever waiting, I'll do a quick, and I feel calm and excited all at the same time.
Get down to Kmart.
Get down to Kmart. Get me a new fake plant or something. I don't know.
Totally.
And,
and there's something, it is powerful. And do you remember when that book, The Secret, came out? And The Secret was all about this secret of manifesting. And there was some criticism of that at the time about, well, you can't just think something and then it magically happens. But I think, what you're explaining there is that when you create a vision, so whether it's a board or writing things down, then you are active. So you actively do things to make that become a reality. So I think that's what some people sort of didn't quite get from that idea of The Secret, that it's not just about thinking it. You think it, then you manifest it by being intentional, because you're going to Kmart to get the plant. So that's one thing that you've actually done to make that a reality. And I think when as I got older, I realised how powerful that was. I think, was it our friend Mr. Salter, Clint, shared recently, he's actually had his done into a piece of artwork. So actually commissioned someone to create some artwork around his vision, and I thought that was wonderful. Really powerful.
Yeah, and I think, it's no good doing these kind of things and just kind of letting them go. It's like 90-day goals and plans for your business. You've got to keep reading them if you really want to, or looking at the pictures, reading the words if you really want to see that change. So I'm a big fan of goal setting, obviously, by that earlier story. I'm a big fan of goal setting. I've got a beautiful diary that I tell everybody about, which is by Leaders in Heels. And I know there's lots. Michael Hyatt also has a really good planner. I'm a big fan of Michael Hyatt's work. If you don't know his work, do Google him. He has a wonderful podcast with his daughter, Megan. And he's got a really good, I think his is called the Full Focus Planner. So both of these planners, and there's a number of them out on the market, divide your year into quarters and help you kind of drill down. So you've got your big goals for the year, personal and professional, and then drill down those into quarters and then months and then weeks.
It's so powerful, isn't it? I mean, I don't think I could get by without my planning anymore. I mean, it becomes overwhelming, doesn't it? I mean, things, especially when you're running a studio, things come at you left, right and centre and are easily distracting. You and I have spoken about that before. The shiny disco ball comes in, you think, oh, that's a good idea, I'll go over there. And all of a sudden, you're not focusing in on what you set out to do.
That's right. And we're excitable, aren't we? We're so excitable. So many good ideas, so little time. Yeah,
absolutely.
I also I find being intentional and having plans, so this is kind of drilling down on that planning point that you just made, really helps keep overwhelm at bay. I am at my worst when chaos reigns, or I feel like I'm in chaos. It's why I'm not like an overly tidy minimalist, but it's why when my house starts to feel a little bit messy, I have to stop what I'm doing and just maybe put the washing away and kind of clear my surroundings. You wouldn't know that by my office at the moment, which is actually full to the brim with tutus, but I'm not in it, so it doesn't bother me. I just shut the door. But, if I'm at home and I'm feeling chaotic, that's what I need to do, is just kind of clear the space. And so what I find planning does is it clears the space. It makes me get everything down and then clear the space in my head so that overwhelm is kept at bay. And in my past holidays, a couple of weeks ago, we ran 3 events in 3 days, which was a bit crazy, but but all of them had project plans, and everything was scheduled. So I didn't have to tell anybody what they had to do. Everybody knew what they had to do. All the social media was scheduled in groups, in events, so much so that one of my team members was laughing because we were in the Thursday event and the Friday event's reminders were popping up in the groups, but I was standing in front of her presenting the second event, and she was like, "What is going on?" And I was like, "It's all done. It's all sorted."
It's all good.
She's like, "But how are you doing this?" I was like, "With my magic wand."
Oh, I love that scheduling. So good.
Yes. And so, but be intentional about it. And the other thing that having kind of intention does is it really does lift your products and services. It really does bring you up to a whole new level because you've given time and thought to what you're trying to achieve. And so there was another example that somebody, oh, that's right, it was in our musical, and somebody said, oh, I love how that matches with that, and the pumpkin carriage matches with this and that, and it all was, you know, and then she said, oh, was that an accident? And I said,
no.
I don't have accidents, which is a joke because I did have a little high five with my car last week. That really truly was an accident. But I said, nothing I do is accidental. Like, you know, even to what I wear to presentations, I give that thought. To the colours I choose to put on a presentation, to all sorts of things. Like, I had my 10-year gala a couple of years ago, and my children, Alana wore purple, Caitlin wore blue, and Liam wore a little suit with white, you know, as his shirt because they're my school colours. And somebody was like, oh, look, oh, did you know that you dressed the children in your school colours? And I said, yes I did.
That's very planned.
Everything is intentional. Yeah. Anyway, just some fun stories there.
But I think that being intentional, and this is what I wanted to unpack a little bit today as well. I've just read this book called E Squared, and it's a little bit woo-woo.
I love woo-woo, you know that.
I'm a bit woo-woo, and I'm getting a bit more woo-woo as I get older, I think.
Me too, completely.
I don't think I probably would have read it even maybe 10, 15 years ago. But anyway, this book's been written by, she's a physicist. So she's actually, you know, she's got a PhD, she's a doctor and all that sort of stuff. And it talks about this idea that essentially if you break us down, us human beings and plants and all living things, we are energy.
Yes.
We are moving energy at the really basic level of, you know, atoms. They are, aren't they? Those little things.
Draw me a picture.
But it's fascinating because there are so many, and how many times can you think about where you've gone, oh, I must call that person, and then the phone rings and it's that person. You know, you could think of 1,000 different examples. I caught up with some girlfriends yesterday for lunch, and 2 of us arrived early, and there were there was 10 restaurants to choose from, and we were both like, oh, let's do Thai. And then the friend turned up and she said, I was really, really hoping you guys had picked Thai today. Like, I almost thought about messaging you, but I didn't. And I just sat there and I went, yeah, we felt that energy. We felt that vibe, you know. So, I mean, it is woo-woo, but I think that idea that you're being intentional does send out your energy. So, and we've talked about this, your vibe attracts your tribe. And so when you're sending out that intentional energy, that's what's going to come back. You know, I am very intentional at my school about being fun and positive, and, you know, as much as we want to get that good, serious technique into the kids, we want to enjoy it. I want to laugh when I go to my studio. And guess what happens?
You do.
When we go in, we laugh. Like, it's fun. But I've made that happen. It's not by accident.
No. See, nothing's by accident. Yeah. And it was Brian Tracy wrote about this as well, about being a living magnet, you know, in the law of magnetism, so that you are attracting to your life people that kind of represent you as well. And so, and it does show up in everything that you do. So how you present yourself and where you go, what you're passionate about, then you are going to attract people who want to be around that energy or enthusiasm. So, because it's contagious. Yeah. People want what you have as well. So, you are a living magnet. So what you put out, you got to know what you want. So you know what you're putting out, so you know what to look for when it comes back.
Yeah.
I kind of lost myself.
Where am I? My ballet teacher would be remiss of me in this conversation not to mention this. we used to have a class every Tuesday evening, and it was our teachers class. So every Tuesday evening, all of her teachers came together for a couple of hours, and we were studying towards our teaching certificates. But probably about once a term, she'd pull out this bit of paper, and we go, oh, here it comes, here comes the talk. Yeah. But she brought it out all the time, and it was 2 pages. I think she'd been to a lecture with someone, but it was all about how our thoughts create our reality.
Yeah.
How our energy, what we think, like we have control over what happens to us. Mm-hmm. And it's powerful. Like, I've just taken that with me wherever I go. I talk to my students about it all the time. You know, if you walk into class going, oh, I'm tired, I can't be bothered, well, guess what? You're going to have a crap class.
Yeah.
And the people around you are going to feel that energy as well. But if you come in and go, you know what, yeah, it's been a hard day, but I'm going to put in my best foot forward here. Or I even had the other day, my kids, you know, we got up to pirouettes and they were like, oh, it's hard. And I was like, this is what's going to happen. You're going to fall over if you think like that. You have the power to change what's happening on a really basic level. And I shared it. There was a Buddha quote I found the other day, and I was like, I'm popping that on my Facebook page. All that we are is a result of our thoughts. And I thought, so true.
Oh, my gosh, I just read that this week as well.
Yeah, you read it on my Facebook page.
No, I didn't. No. I read it in a book. I'm just trying to remember which one. I think I'm reading a couple of books on joy, and they're kind of intermingling, so maybe I should just read one at a time. But, and Stephen Covey talks about the circle of control as well, which those of you playing along, I have Dance Step, which is my assistant teacher training, my student teacher training program. And we talk about the circle of control in level 2, about actually don't go looking to blame other people, you know, but they put me in a bad mood. No, they didn't. You let them put you in a bad mood, because you've got the power, and it starts with you. And thoughts are what drive us, and you choose negative, positive, or somewhere in between. And none of us are perfect. Like, I'm a pretty positive person, and things do happen that push that, you know. It might be fatigue. It might be sadness in the world, being an empath, that challenges my positivity. And that's okay. But at the end of the day, I'm making choices every day when I get up. I'm making choices every time I walk into the studio. As you say, you know, there's times that sometimes you kind of have to fake it. You've got a headache or whatever. But you make that choice that you go in and you give your all, and by the end of the hour, you feel better too.
Yeah, absolutely. So we only get one shot at this, you know. Who knows? I don't know what happens after we go, but
no, I've not been there yet.
No. Oh, funny little story. Last night, I let my son stay up a bit late, but I was home, like I said to you earlier. I didn't go down to the studio last night, and we watched the Australian movie, The Castle. Oh my gosh, it was, and he stayed up so late. He loved it.
Yep.
But what I love about the main character in that, Dale Kerrigan, he sees so much joy in just the smallest things. You know, here was his home next to the airport with planes flying over it, with electrical towers next door, and, you know, everything that people would go, oh, why would you want to live there? He loved it. It was his castle, and it just really brought that home for me that, you know, you can choose to see the plane and hear the noise, or you can choose to go, how good is it? We're right next to the airport. We can walk home, you know. Like, it's so funny. It's the funniest movie, but it just brings home that.
It's deeper, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, it's surface level funny. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think, again, and we've already talked about this on the podcast, so we don't need to go too far into it, but sometimes we can be looking sideways and you know, walking into our own studio and going, I wish and it's good. It's good to strive for things and put it on your vision board. Go for it. But also stop and look at what you have created. And I don't like the quote, don't look backwards because you're not going that way. I don't like that quote. I'm going to put it out there. I don't like it because our journey and where we've been is very, very important. It makes us who we are. It is the fabric of who we are. And some of us have had adversities, personal or in the business, that we've overcome, and they should be celebrated and not ignored. And so, you know, yes, look forward and be intentional, but every now and then look back at how far you've come and go me. I did this, or I survived, or whatever it is. So anyway, that's a little bit of an offside rant. I'm a little off topic today, and I apologise.
We forgive you. But it is one of those topics, it does cut across. Like when I was thinking about it, I was thinking this really does cut across some of the other stuff that we have talked about in terms of not looking sideways and practicing. We did that episode on gratitude, I think. It's all wrapped up in the same thing, isn't it? You know, that being intentional is also being grateful for the opportunities that you have and the opportunities in front of you, because, you know, I think that's one of the most exciting things about running your own business is that you're not answerable to anybody else. You can carve it out and create it in a way that suits you. I mean, sometimes that comes crashing down, doesn't it, when a teacher pulls a pin on you and you're the only one to backfill. But yeah, I mean, it is. We're in a very privileged position, I think.
Oh, I agree, and we have that opportunity to create more than just a job, but a real life. And what I found by being intentional is that it increases my impact as well. So just to kind of bring us back to that, and I've often talked about different versions of success, and I still do. But over the last couple of years, I'm moving from success, the idea of success, to an idea of significance. And what I've found is when I'm really intentional and I'm really honing in on what I can put out to the world, what I can offer, then my significance increases and my impact and my legacy increases. So it's a very good byproduct of staying on track, of putting your vision board, of writing down your words in your journal that you didn't find for 20 years. Gosh, they're funny. Oh, just funny / embarrassing. Anyway, they're very private. But I look back on those and I go, yeah, the last 20 years have been fulfilling to me because of the intention that was sitting behind my actions and behaviours.
Yeah. And it is nice just to take stock sometimes, isn't it? Just to sit back and go, you know what? Look at what I've done in amongst, and let's acknowledge how busy having children and a family, you know, the fact that like we've managed to keep the kids okay.
Well, that's a business in itself. I feel like we've got two businesses. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's nice just to take stock and, you know, sometimes I have little conversations with the kids and I think, oh, wow, like you're an awesome little human.
Yes.
How did that happen?
Yes. Liam said something the other day. I can't remember what it was, but it was very insightful. And Alana, my oldest, and I kind of locked eyes, and then she goes, he's really clever. And we're all high-five. Like, look at us. We helped that. Yay. Yeah.
Go us.
You know, the next minute he was like running around with undies on his head or something. So I'm not
He's a 6-year-old boy.
Yeah. He is very 6. He's a very much a 6-year-old boy at times, and then very much like he's lived on this earth before at others. Well, Miss Mel, we are bringing it to an end. That I hope people got a lot out of that conversation. It is really just a chat as if you're sitting at the bar with a glass of your drink of choice, or standing at the bar in the studio with us. It really is not pre-planned, but particularly we set our intention by having a subject, but that's about it. And so we hope that if you're driving along or you're out walking or whatever it is that you do while you're listening to the podcast, that you've had a bit of a laugh with or at us. And hopefully I'll take it. As long as they're laughing, I'm happy. And maybe, you've nodded along a few times in agreement, or perhaps there's something we've said that you've gone, that's not how it worked for me. And that's cool. That's good too. Yeah. Do you have any final comments, Miss Mel?
No, well, just maybe if people have got anything that they would like us to talk about, just message us or find us either in the Dance Studio Owners Association or Jane, got your Facebook page, Dance Studio Success.
Yes.
Or, you can obviously inbox us as well.
Yeah,
love to hear from people if there's any particular topics that you'd like us to chat about.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And perhaps I'll post in some of the groups as well. But otherwise, we'll just keep talking about ourselves. Which we can do.
Listening.
Yeah, we can do quite well, in case you hadn't noticed. All right, well, thank you, Miss Mel. Another great episode, and I look forward to chatting with you again very soon.
Thanks, Jane.
Bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of our exclusive series At the Bar, powered by the Transform My Dance Studio podcast. For more training, resources and support specifically for dance studio owners who are wanting to grow their business while reclaiming their life, we'd love you to join us in the Dance Studio Owners Association. For all the information, go to dsoa.com. Take care and we'll see you next week.